Hi, this is Jitesh. Welcome to Azure Data Factory training sessions. Um, this session we will cover how we can create a trigger in Azure Data Factory and various properties available in trigger creation. We can see in Azure Data Factory we have debug as well as trigger option. We'll explain the difference between these two. Then how we can see the trigger execution and see the status in each step. How we can monitor the trigger execution, whether the scheduled trigger is success, failure, or if you want to rerun from the trigger, how we can do it. So as usual, I'm assuming the audience have basic understanding of Azure Data Factory, cloud storage, and Azure SQL DB. And I'll be using the same examples I used in my previous sessions. So whoever missed my previous session, please go back to the previous video and find out what exactly the programs, meaning the store procedure tables, and the ADF that I used here in this example. So for your convenience, I'm giving my YouTube links for the videos below in the description. Now let's go to the Azure Data Factory and see how we can create the trigger. So this is the Azure Data Factory pipeline where we have two activities, that is lookup and copy data. So the lookup execute the store procedure and pick up the values from feed parameters passed to the next activity, which copy the data from source system to the target. Here the source system is Azure Data Lake blob storage, and the target system is Azure Data Lake Gen 2. So before executing the store procedure, let me explain what changes I have done in my store procedure. So let's go back to the store procedure. So this is the store procedure USP feed parameter values. In the previous example, I used only two parameter, and here I added one more parameter, that is call. So one is this parameter is created to distinguish between ad hoc calls and scheduled one. If it is ad hoc calls, we need to use the same year that we are passing from Azure Data Factory, and if it is a scheduled one, then it converts the year, the file name, with the current year name. Okay, so that changes is doing here in this. We are passing this variable at file year. How the file year is created? It is checking the call is scheduled or ad hoc. If it is scheduled, then it will pick the current year, else it will use the same parameters which is passing from Azure Data Factory. Okay, now go back to the Azure Data Factory. So as we added the parameter in store procedure, we have to add the same parameter while calling the store procedure in the first activity. So here you need to click on new and add the parameter here and dynamically pass the values. And where we are getting the values, we are getting the values from uh, the pipeline parameters. Okay, so you need to select call and click finish. So before adding that, you may be wondering how the value came there, right? So click on the white space of this pipeline and go to the parameter, and you need to add the parameter first here. So once you add the parameter here, that is a pipeline parameter, that parameter will be available for all the activities. Okay, now we look into the trigger part. So you can see the trigger here. You can click on the trigger, um, click on new edit. Okay, so if you click on new edit, another window will open. um, from the first drop box, you can choose whether you can create new, okay, or you can modify the existing one. If you click on new, you can give any name here, the trigger name that you want to provide for your pipeline. And there are three options for type. One is schedule, one is tumbling window, and event. So for the schedule one, you can set when we need to start the trigger, the date, okay, and reoccurrence. So you can keep one or two or three, any values here. So the next option is you need to choose every minute or every hour, day, weeks, month, etc. Right? So for this demo, I chose day. So I kept it as day. And please note that the next property that you need to set is which time, what time you need to execute this pipeline. And we always have to keep the UTC time here. Okay. And let's say if you want to stop the pipeline, automated pipeline execution for so and so date, you can select the date and provide, okay, next the pipeline should continue execution only for 2 or 3 months. You can select the date and click OK. And the next option is tumbling window. If you select tumbling window, second option is start date, when you need to start this pipeline. And from that day onwards, it'll execute for every 15 minutes or the time period that you given here. And you can change minutes or hours. We don't have any other option here for tumbling window, right? All other properties are same as schedule. And finally, you have another type that's called event. So the event, as the name suggests, the pipeline will execute based on some events. For example, if you create a folder and you're using that folder as a base source path for your files to be picked up, whenever new file comes into the folder, you can your pipeline will be executing. But the catch here is currently we don't have option to give FTP or any other shared folder for this event driven pipeline execution. The only option available is blob storage. So you need to select the Azure subscription here, storage account name, container name, then blob begins with, ends with, if you have any, um, then what kind of event it should trigger, whether it is a create blob create event or blob delete event, etc. Right? But for this demo, I'll use schedule one, um, and I already created one. So let me go to the existing created trigger. So I named it as trigger legal business. Click here. So you can see all the properties that I already provided for this trigger. So I selected the scheduled trigger and reoccurrence every 1 day at 11:30. So current time is UTC time, and time is 12:27. Let me confirm it. Um, okay, so it's 12:28. So let me do one thing. Let me come here. I'll just give 12:30. Okay, so current time is 12:28. Let me give 7:31 in case if I'm not finished the changes, and click OK. So once you click OK, all this pipeline parameter will appear. I'm hard coding this one. Feed ID is 1. Year is you can give any year here because for the scheduled one it will not consider, right? And call should be scheduled because in the procedure we are checking whether it is a scheduled or ad hoc. Then click OK. Once you change the pipeline, you need to publish. So let's publish. Once the pipeline is published, we have to wait till 7:30. So once 7:31 I given, I believe, yeah, 7:31. So once uh, pipeline is executed, we can go there and check the values. So anyway, meanwhile, we look into the difference between debug and trigger option. You can see debug as well as trigger, right? So the main difference is if you click on debug, all the results that will be execution result will be coming under the window, the same window under this execution. So you can monitor how each step is going on, whether it is failing or succeeding, what kind of parameter it is passing, everything. Um, and if you execute using debug method, then any other user will not be able to see what exactly going on with the pipeline execution. But at the same time, if you're using trigger, then the trigger values, trigger details will be appearing on the monitor window. Then those details will be captured by any of the user of this Azure Data Factory. So that is a main difference between these two. So basically debug is used to understand our pipeline is working fine or not, or do you want to change any of the settings. If it is required, then we'll modify it. We'll do one round of testing. Once the pipeline is completely working condition, then we will be executing this pipeline through trigger. Else you don't need to worry about trigger, right? Okay, so the time is 7:31. I hope that trigger is executed. Let me go there and see. So if you look on the left side of the Azure Data Factory, you can see the third option. Click on that and you can see the trigger window. So looks like pipeline is failed. So if you want to understand why it is failed and which step it is failed, you just click on this button, or if you want to rerun, you can just click on the next button. So if you rerun this, it will use the same properties or same parameters that have uh, came into this pipeline for this execution, and it will run it again. Okay, so let's go inside. Now the first activity is completed, the failure is on the second activity. Let's see what is the exact issue. So if you want to see this issue, just click here and see the required blob is missing. Let's go to the source path and see whether this particular file is existing or not. Okay, so this is my blob and I'm not able to see the file here. So let's load one file there. So let me come here. No, no, no. See, Azure train data. Okay, so let me copy this and paste. I copied. Okay, um okay, so I'll just rename this to 2020. Okay, then I'll come here, upload, click on this. I'm not sure why it is okay, so it's coming. So I selected a legally operating business 2020 and open, upload. So now you have file here in your source system, right? Okay, now let's execute our package pipeline. Now go back to, yeah, so one now the trigger execution time has changed, right? So you need to um, modify the trigger again. Click on new edit, click on this trigger legal business, and now it will be, let it keep it for 37. Okay, this is same, and let me publish this. It's publishing now, and we'll wait for 7:36, I believe. So let me check it again. Yeah, 37. So we have to wait for another 2 minutes. Click OK, cancel. Okay. So this is how we can create trigger. Um, then if you go to the monitor, so you can see various options here, right? You can filter the pipeline and select only those pipeline that you want to monitor. Also, we have different filters, like if you want to see only the triggers that ran only on first, and you can change the time. Let's say you need to see all the trigger that executed from 01 January 2020 7 a.m. to January 2020 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. So you can select that and click OK, and it will filter out all the pipelines executed on this given period. Right now, currently I select from 3 to 5, so you can see all the um, execution now. So in fact, this filter we have suggested to Microsoft when we started using Azure Data Factory. We keep on interact with Microsoft every week to provide some suggestion. They will contact us and ask for new suggestions. So uh, I have given this filtering option because it was tough for us before this filter to find out which pipeline is running, and is there any failure for the previous day. Without filtering, it was very tough. Okay, so yeah, now you can see that the pipeline is running. It's in progress state. So you can go click on this and see what's happening. Looks like it failed again. So let me see what's happened. uh, the prop is missing. Okay, I think it's previous uh, message. Let's go there. No, it's failed. Mm-mm. Okay, let me check. Let's go here, refresh. Okay, I don't need to waste time. Okay, so what happened is the path is source path is legal business, and inside legal business it is legally operating business. Okay, so looks like when I deleted, I forgot to create the next the folder. Complete folder got deleted. So let me do one thing. Let me delete this file. Uh, make it as hard delete. Click on new folder. It's a legal underscore business, right? So I'll just type legal underscore capital business. Okay, then inside that I'll upload the folder called 2020 legal business 2020 and upload. Hope this time it'll work. Let's debug first and make sure that uh, it is working. Then we'll go for the scheduled one. Mm, bear with me for a couple of minutes. So what I did is previously I removed the file, existing file for this demo, right? So when I deleted the file, even the folder also got deleted. See, now it got succeeded. So we can test it again, but the file already reached here, I believe, in the target system. Let's refresh it. Yes. So let me delete this for now. Um, delete. So this is the target system, Azure Data Lake Gen 2. So I deleted the file from here. We have the same file in the source system. It's not deleting. Um, now what we can do, we can update the trigger. Let's keep it for 5353. Click OK, and the properties are same. So click OK. Now publish. So now we need to wait for 2 minutes. So let's wait. So publishing is completed. Okay. So let's go to the monitor. You can refresh here. It's not yet started. Mm, mm. Let me go back and check trigger, edit, schedule. Okay, it's 53. Okay. So I'm thinking why it is not coming. Let's close it and go to the monitor. Okay. So if you look at the monitoring window, you can see that there are a lot of other options available on the left side, right? Dashboard. Then dashboard will give you the complete details like total number of pipelines, when it is executed. All the summary details will be providing in dashboard, and the pipeline same as uh, this will give you the complete list of pipelines which is running, which is completed, everything. And as I explained, you can have filter and see. Okay, now you can see that the trigger is executing right now. We'll wait for some time. So yeah, so it is succeeded. Now let's go to the targets file. Let refresh this. Yeah, you got the file. So this is how you can create the trigger and execute and monitor. Let's go back to the monitoring. I about to tell something else, right? Yeah, so you have, if you want to filter out only the trigger runs, you can see, you can filter out based on trigger. So the current trigger name is trigger underscore legal underscore business, right? And integration runtime. So currently I chose only auto resolving integration runtime, but if you're using um, um, if you're picking the data from on premises, you need to have separate integration runtimes. I'll explain that integration runtime in one of my sessions, but for now I'm skipping this. You can create alert and metrics the same as any other ELTL tools or ETL tools, where you can send a mail to concerned persons to see the pipeline is executed or not. So you can set any rule. So based on the rule, it will generate. Anyway, I'll explain this also in the coming sessions. Okay. So for now, um, we covered everything what I started initially, like creating the trigger, various properties, then difference between debug and trigger, everything. So yeah, that's it for today's session. Thank you very much for listening and bearing with me for failures. See you next session soon. Okay. Thank you. Bye. I hear you.